Hello, guys. Can you hear us? Testing the audio. Hello, hello. This is Elena with SeeLess Solutions. How can we confirm if you guys can hear me or not? Hello, Jim. I see Jim is here. And oh, good. Christian just texted me. Thank you, Christian. Now you could hear me. All right. Well, Shalom. Hi, Shalom. Thank you for confirming. Well, this is great. I guess everyone can hear me, so we could begin. Just let me know if we need to wait for anyone else to join. Otherwise, we could start. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us here today. First and foremost, we hope you and your loved ones are well and safe during these challenging times. We are grateful for the opportunity to be here with you and to be able to take the advantage of the downtime to introduce you to our SeeLess Solutions concept of the simplified flash mounts that provide an elegant and cost-effective solutions for blending your devices into your environment. I'm also very excited. And Jen, if you're controlling the screen, can you please go to the next slide here to introduce Shalom Alous, who is here today with us. He's the founder and the president of SeeLess Solutions. And Shalom is here to answer any of your questions at the end of the presentation. He will listen to your feedback and of course take in any of your requests. So feel free to use the chat to let us know what you want us to address at the end of the presentation. And Jen, I'm not sure if you are controlling this or not. Oh, good. Okay, well, this is Shalom right here. So Shalom, if you could hear us, maybe you could jump in and say hello. So Jen, if you don't mind going to the next slide here, please, so we can just review the agenda for today. We basically going to talk a little bit about who we are, our history. This is what Shalom can tell you about his expertise in the industry. Then we'll review, of course, our concept, building materials. We'll go and review step by step the installation methods for pre-wire and also the retrofit scenarios. And we'll definitely go over the different families of SeeLess products. And of course, we'll focus on the advantages that set us apart from anyone else on the market. So Jen, if you select the next slide, and Shalom, if you don't mind, please test your audio and see if you could just jump in and tell us a little bit about your history here.
Sure. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Shalom, and I've started SeeLess Solutions, but I actually came from the integration world. So just like a lot of the guys on the call today and a lot of the dealers, I've started an installation company focusing more on lighting and shades for the last 22 years. And coming from some of the challenges that we've had in the field and some applications where, customers, clients, architects, designers came to us looking for flashing solutions that weren't available in the market. And also coming from the integration side and the installation side, we've also installed some of the competitor products that are available in the market. And with SeeLess Solutions, we really try to recreate a cost-effective, easy to install, easy to use, adaptable, and a product that can also give you the flexibility to future-proof as technology changes, as we know all the time. I think Elena will focus a little bit about, why the product and why gypsum. So we'll talk a little bit about the product itself, but essentially it's a great material that's super easy to adapt into the most commonly used materials that we use in our job sites, which is, drywall. And it also allows us to really customize and create different form factors very easily. So we also offer custom solutions, but we've started with Lutron products essentially, which is where most of my expertise was over the years. and then expand it into additional brands as well. And then always listening to dealers, taking feedback and suggestions, and then we'll build, more and more products based on that.
Thank you so much, Shalom. So traditionally, of course, you guys all familiar, the devices are wired, they're surface mounted, they cast shadows, they look really bulky. The designers absolutely hate, the protrusions from the surfaces. So with SeeLess, we pretty much, Shalom just took advantage of his expertise and created a solution that is very easy to install, and it's makes all those devices aesthetically beautiful, and of course they also perform better when they're installed in SeeLess, and we'll go over all the details in the following slides. So if we could go to the next slide here, this is, by the way, guys, is a joke. I added this slide here. So this is not the SeeLess mounts. I stress not the SeeLess solutions. I just wanted to show you guys simply because Shalom, as he goes through different clients, environments, he's been seeing more and more that clients were getting desperate, designers were getting desperate. Everybody were trying to create some kind of solution of their own to recess and, get rid of that bulkiness and of the shadow lines. And if we go to the next slide here, I just want to show you that on the left here, of course, this is a traditional receptacle versus on the right, you see the SeeLess mount and a completely flush installation with a little bit of the reveal that we leave there by design. Let's go to the next slide. And here you could basically see the picture from our showroom that just gives you a little bit of an overview of a variety of our mounts. On the left, you see the thermostat nest mounted into a mount. Below is a 2-gain Lutron Palladium, single gain down below. And on the right, you see the nest smoke mount. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about the reveals, but the idea here is just to show you guys how nice it looks when it's 100% flush and not breaking those seamless transitions, especially when it comes to your ceilings. On the next slide, I just want to play the video here just to show you guys a little bit of our concept and overview of SeeLess idea and the mounts. So you see a variety of different designs and form factors and reveals. And this is again just before and after to show you the difference of the concept here. So we won't hold your attention too long on our videos. Don't worry if you don't hear the audios. This is more for the visual, so you just get a little bit of that overview of our concept. On the next slide here, we're going to talk a little bit about SeeLess philosophy. So the philosophy of SeeLess Solutions, it's kind of embedded in our company's name, right? We want you guys to see less of the bulking devices on your walls and ceilings. So our mission is to refine modern architectural solutions to help you guys bridge that gap between aesthetics and technology so the intended design can meet the device. And our concept was to take the existing manufacturing devices. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. We wanted to take advantage of all the quality solutions that you guys are already using, your beautiful Lutron, Crestron, whatever it is, and take advantage of those devices and simply simplify the installation methods and improve the aesthetics of those devices. So again, we created the several reveals and several form factors to give you guys the vast array of family products. And our main focus was to keep it affordable and simple to install. On the next slide here, we just want to review our advantages. So what sets us apart from anyone else on the market? The concept itself of flush mounts, I'm sure you guys are already familiar with, and you probably even had some experience with different manufacturers. So with us, there are several things that really make us stand out. To begin with, of course, the advantageous price point. Shalom's main focus was not to be valid engineered, so it was, a major part of our strategy to keep it affordable, and we are at least 1/2 of the price point on anyone else on the market. Also, simplified installation for both electricians and the drywalls was another major focus that we wanted to kind of address. So we're going to go and review step by step all the little additions and details that went into design of our platforms to aid the installers. Flexibility, what we mean by that is the variety of the different form factors, reveal options, and also the mounts that we created to make our mounts adaptable to numerous different manufacturers' devices. So we are brand agnostic, and we will again review the varieties further down. And last but not least, again, well, I kind of already explained the design families, and I will point out different families that we focused on, where we started and where we're at now in a few minutes down the road. On our next slide, I just like to basically point out that we started with your standard single 1 to 4 gain wiring devices for anything from your typical receptacles, switches, dimmers, keypads, controls. And of course, on the next slide, you can see we focused on the biggest and bulkiest eyesores of all, which are usually your smoke detectors, your thermostats, your wireless access points. And then we kind of took that concept and extended our, the solutions for anything else, for all your smart home devices, such as your voice control units like Joshi High, EcoSpots, touchscreens, iPads, and more. And we'll again talk about it in a little bit more details further down. On our next slide, I just wanted to point out the SeeLess way again here with 3 different reveals that we provide for your standard wiring devices. So on the right here, you see 1/16 of an inch. That is a round Lutron keypad. In the middle, that's 1/8 of an inch, and on the left, that's 1/4 of an inch that you see. So on the left, it's just slightly deeper and a little bit more room. It's there by design, so you could have that flexibility again to play between the different manufacturers' measurements. So for example, Shalom's expertise again was Lutron. From his experience, this is why we came out with Lutron measurements sort of initially, but then he added those other reveals to make our mounts brand agnostic. So
And then I can
go
also add that the reasons for the reveals is, to be able to adapt different devices into it as well. So it was built around, so we have a family of designer style devices and architectural style devices, very similar to Lutron. And all it means is rounded corners versus square edge corners. And
right.
the reveals allow you to adapt different plates into them, but it's also an aesthetic element. So in modern spaces, we see a lot of Z channels and things like that people create different reveals around the drywall. So instead of using a baseboard or casing, sometimes they use Z channels to create a reveal. So the bigger reveal is also an aesthetic element. So a lot of times when designers are trying to create that space on the bottom where, so it looks like the drywall is floating to the floor, then you could do the same thing with the SeeLess with a larger reveal. It's more of a statement.
Sure, absolutely. And you can kind of take a look of what Shalom meant by that at the next slide. It's a little video again that previews the different mounts and different form factors and reveal styles. So if you hit play, let's see if we can watch it together real quick. So here you just see different mounts and different finishes. Of course, we'll talk about the gypsum in a minute, but pretty much anything you could do to drywall, you could do to our mount, because we chose gypsum as a building material so it can integrate monolithically with the drywall. And in this video, you could kind of preview again the different finishes that you see, reveals in the walls and ceilings. Your single gang keypad here. This is a single gang being mounted between the 2 studs onto the adjustable caddy bracket. The double gang here, this is what we call bevel. And then, of course, the variety of round form factors mounts that are adaptable to a variety of low voltage devices. So our mounts can basically adapt to both low voltage and high voltage devices. They come with a full cubic inch capacity J box already attached to its back. So everything comes pre-assembled, kind of ready to install out of the box. Our mounts come in level 5 finish. So you can, easily change the textures and paint them. And we will also point out a few other details further down, but on this video here, if you pay attention, the smoke detectors are going off within amounts prior by at least 5 to 10 to 15 seconds, depending on the device being tested, than the device when it's surface mounted on its own. And this video, I will kind of zoom in on a few things further down when we talk about the smoke detectors families. But the idea here was, we were advised to go to get the independent testing from QAI testing facility, and Shalom will kind of talk a little bit more about it further down. But for now, I think we should keep go to the next slide so we can talk first a little bit about the building materials and why we kind of chose gypsum again. So you guys are familiar that gypsum, some of you know it as plaster, is a high performance building material. We really wanted to leverage the quality of the building materials with the performance. And again, this is why we chose gypsum. It's definitely, designers love to hear that it's natural. It's architects love the fact that it's sustainable, environmentally friendly, also Wi-Fi friendly building material. Again, you can easily change textures, paint it, mold it, and then most importantly, it will not shift when it's installed into the drywall because of that 100% commonality of the ingredients between our platforms and the drywall material. So unlike some other, companies that build their products from MDF, for example, where MDF is susceptible to temperature changes, to moisture influences, our platforms will not expand. It's definitely going to stand the test of time. And next slide here, we just want to review some of the other features and benefits that we haven't mentioned so far. For example, another main advantage that we have that sets us apart from anyone else is the fact that we have our platforms available up to 4 gangs. So you could do traditional standard switches, in your bathrooms or whatever, so you're not kind of married to the fancy keypads throughout the house. Also, as I mentioned before, the mounting hardware comes pre-assembled. That J box is UL certified. It's a metal box. It's super easy for electricians to punch through. It's been designed by us with the double perforated knockouts. So the electricians, again, it's very easy for them to punch through it and do their installation. And it's been designed to fit your standard wall depths. The brackets, aluminum brackets that our mounts come with, they're already preset at the 5/8 of the thickness of the drywall. When you remove it out of the box, it's already set at the top and bottom. But I will show you guys further down on a couple of the slides what it looks like. But for now, I just wanted to point out that those brackets are super easy to adjust. So you can adjust to 3/4 or a 1/2 inch of the thickness of the drywall, or you can also flip them if you're trying to accommodate for the double drywall, for example. And as I mentioned earlier, devices definitely accommodate both class 1 and class 2 wiring devices. And most importantly, it's not just for new construction. They're super easy to retrofit, as you will see further down in a few slides going forward. And of course, because we chose not to put, for example, a cheap plastic box, we kind of overbuilt it a little bit by putting a metal box in the back. It's definitely makes it adaptable for both residential and commercial applications. So on the next slide here, I think we are going to look into the installation process. And again, installation was, simplifying installation is definitely one of our major strong points. And this just shows you the variety of the mounts and kind of previews what the mounts look like. You could kind of see here on the bottom what initially our mounts looked like when they first came to the market. Some of you may have already used those. And then this is just nice to see, you know, the difference. You will see on the slides going forward that we already made some improvements to, again, add to make the installation much easier for drywallers. We adapted, we made some changes to make electricians' job easier too. So let's go to the next slide so I can point out the differences. So traditionally, you know, electricians just mount your standard receptacles. There's nothing, this slide is here to kind of point out that there is nothing new in the installation process for both electricians and drywallers. Electricians are already, you know, accustomed to cutting the drywall and installing your J boxes. And on the next slide, you could see kind of what the mounts look like. And you could see that it comes with that standard full cubic inch capacity J box already attached to the back of our platforms. By the way, everything is double bolted on top and bottom and the back. So, you know, to reinforce the platform to make sure that we absorb the punching force and nothing is going to shift. Also for the drywallers, if you could see kind of on the left, Jen, maybe you could point at the top left platform at the top left corner, and just that frame that you see around the platform, it's there by design. So that indentation is there for the drywallers to apply the tape and mud. Exactly. So if you go around the platform and kind of point out that indentation area, yes. And this is one of the areas that we already improved. We made this area wider and a little bit deeper to make the drywaller's job easier when it comes to taping and mudding. And again, for drywallers, they're so accustomed to taking two pieces of sheetrock and putting them together and making them one through that process of tape and mud. So it's exactly the same process that they will apply here as well. So if we go to the next slide, I will walk you a little bit more step by step through the new construction installation process and point out a few more details. So you could kind of see here the different things that went into the design to make the installer's job a little bit easier. So those are the lines that I pointed out earlier for 3/4, 5/8, and 1/2 of the thickness of the drywall. They're all throughout the platform on each side. So it's super easy to readjust those brackets. On the left corner on the bottom, you see an example of our adapter ring. So on top, above it, yeah, you see the adapter ring by itself. You could find that ring under the accessories on our website. And that ring is there if you need more room in the back. So if you want to adapt to 4 square inch back box, you simply take a standard box off and you will mount the adapter ring and then adapt that to your 4 square inch box. So that option is available. And then also, I just wanted to point out in the top right corner, for example, you see those red arrows. Those are highlighting the center lines on our platform. And again, that's just a little detail that went into design to make it easier to line up our platforms equally throughout the house. And then on the bottom, you see that it's been, oh, it's okay, you don't have to go back. But I was going to point out it's similar. Thank you. On the bottom here, I was just going to point out that it was reinforced with the double drywall. And so again, if someone needs to do that, it's not a problem. You could either flip the brackets to accommodate for that, or you could just set them lower to 3/4. And then on the next slide, this just depicts the different ways we've seen our platforms installed at the job sites by our installers. So it could be mounted either between the two studs, as you can kind of see on the top right slide, or directly to the stud. So again, we've seen you don't necessarily need the adjustable caddy brackets, but it is easy to find one. We don't provide a bracket, but they're available at any supply store for something like a little bit over $1. So on the next slide, I think this video here will kind of give you a good visual of the installation between the two studs onto the adjustable caddy brackets. And then you see the drywall being closed around our platform. It's being taped and matted with the fiberglass mesh tape. And then the keypad is installed, and all you see is that minimum reveal around your keypad, and your device is 100% nice and flush. So on the next slide, you can kind of see the first few steps. So we're zooming in here, just basically on where you start. And these install guides are available, by the way, guys, with every purchase. We usually send them out with every order. I believe we are going to be also adding them online soon. But for now, if you need one, just email your reps or ask directly, and we can send you a copy. But the steps here just depict, you want to sometimes just, you can easily readjust the box if you need to from the back to just make it, if you need to shift anything. Otherwise, you basically, again, mounting onto the caddy bracket between the two studs, and you're just verifying that those studs are leveled with a straight edge. And again, readjusting those brackets to the thickness of the drywall that you need. And then on the next slide, you see that after that, we don't recommend over cranking with the drill, simply because sometimes the installers are just, they apply a little too much force. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. You just, I think at this point, the drywaller comes in, he will close the drywall around mount, apply that mesh fiberglass tape, 2 levels of, I think, Shalom, is it 2 layers of mud? Maybe you could take it from here. But
I'll talk a little bit about this, since it's important and it's what makes us different. So the installation concept with our product is two things that I want to point out here is, number one, we don't make any of the faceplates. So we make our product to adapt to a manufacturer's device. Some of the products out in the field that I've used before in my installations always required me to do something on top of the faceplate, whether it's to full finish it, whether it's to sand and mud over it. So, and this is where we saw in most of our applications where we had most of the issues, and where, it just didn't last the test of time, where the faceplates, started getting dirty, or the faceplates or the magnets attracted dust. So what we chose to do with our platforms is not necessarily change the manufacturer's device. It's essentially adapted to a back box. And what SeeLess is essentially a finished back box. So as you can see on that installation photo, on the photos on the right, the one that's completely to the right, where the arrows are, we have center lines on both horizontally and vertically. This allows you to just simply run a laser in the room, and you can easily line up all the devices that you have in the room. So if you have a bunch of switches, a bunch of outlets, you can run a laser line, and then you can just line it up easily. As you can see, the side brackets that are currently on the left and right can also be flipped over to top and bottom. So this it helps you, to mount it horizontally or vertically, or if you have a stud in the way or something like that, you can easily change the mounting type. And in terms of the installation itself, is once you put it in place, typically you do a mesh tape, you do first layer of mud, you let it dry, and then you sand it down. And then if they need to level it to a level 5 finish, then they do that second layer, and then they mud and paint. I mean, then they sorry, I apologize. Then they paint twice. Usually they put a primer and then they paint. However, they do not need to do anything in the center of our mount, because it's already level 5 finish. Then all they have to do is mud around the joints. And once that's done, then all they have to do is, if they want the inside of our platforms to match the finish of the wall, then they essentially just apply the finish paint to it. So there's no need of going inside that cavity opening to do any work inside of it. We're keeping the dry rollers on the outside. This way, the level 5 finish on the center remains intact, and also all the finish corners and all of our details, whether it's rounded or square edge, stays intact and doesn't get affected. And that's what Elena was talking about, where we saw with smoke detectors, thermostats, where the platforms were bigger, we had a little bit more wiggle room around the perimeter of the device. And what we've noticed is with with the 1, 2 gangs, 3 gangs, and 4 gangs, there was not enough gypsum, and we saw that the drywaller were actually going inside of our platform. So we've made them slightly wider, just to prevent drywallers and mud from going in and drying, and then you have to really just sand it down to get it nice and clean.
Okay, great. Thank you, Shalom. Appreciate it. And then on the next slide, we're going to talk about the retrofitting amount. So definitely easy to, install in existing finished spaces. Basically, you can cut the size of the drywall to match the size of the outside opening, bring your cable, adjust the brackets to the thickness again of the drywall, and then you just slip our platform in at an angle and you push it, prep it forward, and then screw it in from the front of the drywall, and then you mud over it. So unlike other products that are very hard to install, with us, there's really no need to cover it and try to find the hole. It's super easy to retrofit our mount. So let's go to the next slide here to kind of, again, review a little bit more zoomed in steps here. So on the front, on the top left, you just see that it's been an opening is created around your device. And then on the right, you see that it's being, leveled with the drywall. So again, as we discussed, that frame that you see there basically is that indentation is there, so you can level the lower side of it with the drywall, and then you're going to tape and mud up to that higher surface, and that is going to become one with the wall. So you can kind of see the tape and mud applied in the left corner. That's that fiberglass tape. You don't have to use fiberglass tape, by the way. We get that asked a lot. You could use the standard, is it the paper tape, right, Shalom?
Yeah, paper tape. So it's really just a preference. We've heard it from different drywallers. It's really just a preference of what these guys are used to working with. We don't have a preference as long as they mud and tape it the same way they do with drywall. We haven't seen any cracking or any issues whether they use one or the other. The other thing I want to point out in this particular instance here, that the mount that you see here for the Nest, and I know we showed a lot for the Nest because it was very popular for us with Nest. However, being in California, and especially with Western and Lutron, vacancy sensors are a requirement here. And the same mount that we use for the Nest platforms, we call it TSU, which is thermostat sensor universal. That's what it means. So we've made it to adapt both sensors or the Nest thermostat. So, or any round device essentially that's low voltage that can fit in the opening. So I think it's important to mention, because we see it a lot here, where we have vacancy sensors that are required now in commercial applications, in every space, in schools, in houses, in every bathroom it's required. So I think for vacancy and occupancy sensor, people forget that this is intended for that, but that's something that comes up a lot and came up a lot for me in most of my installations, where they have beautiful ceilings and bathrooms, or they're using nice trimless downlights, and all of a sudden you have a smoke detector or you have a vacancy sensor in the space. So it's also important to point out that this same mount can accommodate for that.
Sure. Thank you, Shalom. Yeah, and then on this slide here, you just kind of see on the bottom that initially our platforms were pre-drilled for Nest E thermostat mounts, and then Shalom adapted and added the adapter plate to most of our mounts, again, as he described, to make them universal. So it's super easy now to adapt to anything low voltage with similar form factor. And these mounts come in couple reveals, which are those opening sizes around your device. So again, you have a lot of room to play around with different manufacturers' devices. And on the top here, you just see a zoom in of what we discussed on the previous slide. So I just wanted to give you guys a better visual of the level in here with the drywall on the bottom. And then on the next slide, it's just basically a better a view of the tape and mud application. And then the slide after that really just shows you the final finish. And as Shalom mentioned, this is where you could change the textures. You could choose whether or not you want to leave your inner space level 5 as it comes with, or you can also choose to choose the texture, change the textures to match your surrounding design. So I think the next slide here just shows you, the step-by-step again, that you're going to be applying one more layer of code of the primer, I apologize, waiting for it to dry, and basically it's going to be ready for you to paint. And this here just shows you, the final finish of a few devices. And also I wanted to point out that these keypads, for example, are super easy to take in and out from the wall. We have our own suction cups that Shalom designed. If you take a look at the next slide, there's a little video to demonstrate how easy it is to apply it to remove your Lutron keypad, in this case, from the wall. So take a look. It's a 3-headed SeeLess suction cup. For some devices, you just could use 2 of them, but otherwise, one of them works perfectly well in most cases. So those, again, they usually come with every order, but you can easily order more on our website. And this video here, I actually threw it in there, but I think, you know what? I think we're going to skip through it because I don't want to keep you guys too long, but these videos will be available for you if you guys need to. We're gonna have a library so you can share and review down the road as well. And this brings us to the next point, the flexibility and the variety of our mounts. As I mentioned earlier, that was one of our major, again, advantages. We really wanted to accommodate for the compatibility with most leading manufacturers, form factors, and different sizes. And this just, we're going to go over next different family products. Some of them Shalom already described, some of them you guys haven't seen. So let's take a look at the next slide here. Again, Shalom being an expert on Lutron devices, we kind of initially focused on the Lutron collection. So here you just see the availability of our platforms for Lutron, different Lutron devices. Shalom already pointed out in the center here, the designer style with the rounded corners. This is the mount that comes up to 4 gang. To the right of it is our bevel, what we call architectural bevel style, and that gives you those sloping bevel edges to kind of frame out your device and give it a little bit more aesthetic uniqueness. And to the right is our super, what we call, high-end architectural style mount, which adapts really well to Lutron Palladium Homework QS keypads. So it has that well-defined sharp edge to give you that more modern, clean, sharp finish. And on the left, you just see on the left corner, that's the Palladium Lutron Palladium thermostat. So this mount is specific, kind of built for that. It's a low voltage device, so it doesn't come with the back box in the back. And then next to the right is the 2-column Lutron International style keypad. So this particular mounts come in one reveal, which is at 0.62. So it's 1/16 of an inch around your devices. On the next slide, we just wanted to show you that if someone is doing, for example, your keypads with designer style, which is those softer rounded edges, as you see on the left on the single gang keypad here, then they're probably going to want to stick to that same style throughout the rest of the house. So they'll probably choose smoke detectors and control devices and thermostats with a similar form factor. So we created this designer style collection. to give you guys that flexibility. So we have definitely a variety of smoke detector mounts and different reveals and voice control units, and again thermostats. And I'll show you a few zoom in pictures and videos further down. On the next slide, I just wanted to point out that bevel style that we looked at. So if you preview this video, it just shows you the before and after of the platform. This is what our mount looks like coming out of a box with a beautiful Homework QS Palladium. And then this is the glass keypad being installed in our wall right there. So again, it gives you that, you know, aesthetic differentiation factor. But if you, for example, not ready to commit to this unique look throughout the entire house, we recommend using these mounts specifically behind your nightstands, TVs, and refrigerators to recess your plugs deeper into the wall so you could push your furniture flat. So we're kind of making it a new standard here in Los Angeles, and we see it really being popular and working out well for that particular purpose. Another, application I heard from the designers that they love using this mount for the Spanish style homes to pronounce the thickness of the drywall. And I think Shalom always mentions that maybe Shalom, you could share your story, how you actually, why you came up with this design. I love when you share that story.
Sure. I mean, the bevel design essentially was inspired from recessed lights. So most of the square downlights, normally the pick from the design team is always a bevel trim. So we always end up using a bevel trim, and then it goes down to what do you put on the walls. So when we created that, it just made sense to be able to continue that from an outlet perspective to a switch to a keypad perspective, and then carry it out to the ceiling, so that everything has that nice deep bevel finish look. And and one of the things here that we're also showing with SeeLess is the flexibility of what we can do, and being able to recreate this over and over. And it's something that cannot be done in drywall on site. It's something that could be replicated. So to really show the design team that we can get super creative, and we can create different aspects, because this came through a project where they did a concrete house, and they were able to form this same exact look in the concrete. And when they came down to the drywall side of it, they just couldn't recreate the same exact element. So they were able to form it with wood in the concrete and then pour it in place, but they could not do that with the drywall. So we came up with a platform that matched exactly the design intent in the concrete.
Thank you, Shalom. And on the next slide, I just want to point out again that we have if you go to the next slide, I think we've seen this video. Thank you. So here we're just talking, about the versatility with multiple designs and different manufacturers again. So we created another collection to accommodate Crestron mounts. Right now we do have a couple mounts to accommodate 1 and 2 gang Crestron Horizon keypads. We also have the international style, which you see down below at the bottom. That's the Crestron 2-column international designer style platform here. Both of those, well, actually the one on the bottom is low voltage. The one on top does have the standard J box attached to it. And in the middle, again, to give you guys more variety, this is the company called Basalt. Some of you may be familiar with it. It comes with walkway lights, thermostats, and keypads in the same size and form factor. And we created 2 different looks as well. So you do have on the left that sharp edge architectural style, on the right the designer style with the softer rounded edges. And our mounts accommodate all of those Basalt devices. And I just wanted to point out that the Basalt does integrate with both Lutron and Crestron systems. And if you guys want to learn more, let us know. We could point out, the website and give you guys the introduction if you like to learn more about Basalt. On the next slide here, we're just going to talk about the variety of the thermostat mounts. So you could kind of just see here a preview on the top, in the center, that's again the Nest, the round device, left corner on the bottom, that's your, I believe this is your Honeywell thermostat. To the right on the bottom, that's your Lutron Palladium. And let's go to the next slide to kind of take a look at the brief demonstration of the thermostat mount here. So this is what our platform for Nest thermostat looks like coming out of a box. As I pointed out earlier, you saw that adapter ring was attached to it already. So in this case, it gives you that flexibility to easily switch out devices. So you can choose to go with your Nest, or you can go with Lutron sensors, occupancy sensors. So basically, like Shalom mentioned, anything low voltage with a similar form factor, and this particular platform comes in two reveals. So we call it 500 or 750. So you have the ½ inch or 3/4 inch around your Nest thermostat in this particular case. This slide here just depicts a variety of different mounts, and you could kind of see what we were talking about, where we widened that frame around at the surface for the tape and mud to go in, and you could kind of see the center lines that we were talking about. So this platform here is the only platform that we have that comes with those what are they called, Shalom? The springs attached to the platform. And that platform, actually, if you go to the next slide, you will see the application of that much better in the video here. So let's play this video so I can explain what I meant by those springs. You see those are there by design, so you can just cut an opening in your drywall and then attach that to the drywall. So you don't have to tape and mud in this particular case. So for those homes where they don't really feel like going through the entire, tape and mud process and major renovation, this application here allows them to flush out their Honeywells or devices of similar form factor and still have them nice and flush with the surface, but you will see that slight trim left on your wall. And in the next video, I apologize. On the next slide, we're reviewing the collection of our smoke detector mounts. So we have a couple form factors. Of course, for Nest, it's a little bit more form specific. Right now, you see it here at the top, Nest platform comes with 750 reveal option, which is about 3/4 inch around your Nest device, and it comes with a single gain box. For the round form factors, we have a couple options for your single gain devices. We call it SLK SM, which it stands for smoke detectors, and we have a ½ inch and also 3/4 inch reveals available, and we do have another option with a double gain box as well. So in those cases when you need to, if we go to the next slide, I'll be able to point out them a little bit better. So for those cases when you need to separate your low voltage from high voltage, go ahead and play. This video just shows a reveal and how nice and flush and clean it looks in your ceiling next to your trimless lights. So this here, I believe, is the 3/4 inch reveal around your device. And let's see the next slide, please. Yes, that's our Nest. Let's play the video. And that just shows you the reveal around the Nest and also that test that we were talking about. And again, I'll let Shalom maybe talk a little bit here about the test and the findings from the results.
Sure. So, here in LA, we've always had inspectors that are being sensitive to flushing devices into the ceiling. So we went both to UL and ETL and try to get UL listing on the product, but because we don't control what smoke detector device will be put in our platforms, we couldn't get a UL number specifically to the device itself. So what we ended up doing with the suggestions from building and safety here in LA is to hire a third-party agency, and they give us a list, and we took the best one on the list, which is called QAI, and they test to UL and ETL standards. And they're a fire facility that specializes in electrical devices. So what they did for us, and when I came with our platforms, and took the three biggest brands in the market, and I wanted to test all three of them and see how it would impede the performance of it. So what they suggested we do is we build a wall and a ceiling application in a special fire room that's fire controlled, light up a fire, and actually test and see how everything responds. And then everything was recorded and documented, and we have these documents to share as well. And basically, this is what they did. They basically did this test 3 times for every platform. So if you stop right there, then you could see how inside our platform, so when a Nest smoke detector senses smoke, it first goes to a yellow, it lights up, then it goes to a yellow, and then it goes to a red, and then it sounds the noise. So as you could see in this photo, our smokes being in the wall and in the ceiling actually outperformed the surface mounted application. And we did that test 3 different times with 3 different manufacturers, and we were consistent in all 3 of them, which means that even being flush mounted in, but having the reveal around it doesn't actually impede the performance, it enhances it. But we don't take that lightly, so we're not out there to say our mounts improve the efficiency of the smoke. We just wanted to make sure that they're as safe as they were installed surface mounted. And we can share these documentation with you guys as well.
Sure, yeah, guys, let us know if you need, we could email you the test whenever you need to. Otherwise, I also want to point out briefly from this video, you kind of see that this mount here is it's integrated into a dropped ceiling. So we get that question a lot. This is why I wanted to cover it while you guys see it on this screen. So Shalom, do you want to explain briefly,
Sure.
how it is
So
applied?
yeah, so if you see right here, these are 2x2 ceiling tiles that are also available in 2x4 ceiling tiles, pretty standard. But in most commercial applications where they're using a drop ceiling, right, where you see the recessed lighting, you see the perforated tiles. So these are standard tiles, but they also make drywall tiles, which is what the smoke detector is mounted in. So if somebody wanted to use a flush mount smoke, in that opening, that 2x2 or 2x4 opening, they would use a drywall tile, and then they would use our mount inside of it, and that's how you can get a flush mount devices in the tile itself. We could also make a retrofit version, which is similar to the thermostat, but it hasn't been something that came up a lot. Normally, when we just show this option here, that's commonly available. This is what they do with openings for air conditionings and other devices that require drywall installation or just a different kind of tile in the space. So since our mounts are made out of gypsum, they're compatible with gypsum, they cannot be mudded into a foam tile, then they have to be in a drywall tile.
Thank you, Shalom. And I know we are running a little bit long here. We want to be respectful of your time, guys. So we're gonna kind of rush through the few of the remaining slides. On this slide, we're just pointing out that, as the progression of controlling your environment with voice advances, we're also embracing the idea. So currently we have 2 mounts to accommodate the voice control units such as Josh AI and also the Amazon EcoSpot. Both of them are low voltage. Amazon Josh AI comes with that adapter plate already built into it, and for Amazon EcoSpot, there is the magnet that sits at the very bottom, as you could kind of see there, and then the unit just kind of mounts into it. You will see a good visual on the next slide. Let's play that video just to give you an idea of the concept. This here is a Josh AI being mounted, and that's how it gets integrated and beautiful, nice reveal. So because it's specifically built for Josh AI, you just have that perfect 16 of an inch reveal around your Josh Micro here. And on the next slide, you'll see the Amazon EcoSpot being integrated into the wall. So this is again before and after. This is what the mount looks like. And once you play the video, you can kind of see what it looks like once it's flush in the wall, and the eco spot is sitting nice and flush again. And again, let's go to the next slide here. So this brings us to our touch screens and iPad mounts. And our iPad platforms are available in two sizes to accommodate your 7, 10-inch, and also iPad mini. They adapt to your Luxport wall station, so it doesn't come with it. You guys can get that separately, but our mount comes again just like everything else with adjustable brackets, etc. And on the bottom, you see the touch panels that were specifically built for Crestron touch screens. And those are available in two sizes as well. And this particular model comes with the double game box. So your touchscreen will adapt to the double game box. You can see how it gets integrated on the next screen. Please play the next video. I believe the video depicts the iPad mount. So you could kind of see what it looks like again, before and after, and a beautiful reveal that is there by design. So you can easily reach into the mount and take your device in and out. And this is that Luxport wall station that I was referring to that your iPad will adapt to. And let's go to the next slide. And that slide will just kind of depict the Horizon touchscreen here. I'm sorry, not Horizon, but Crestron. So if you play the video, I think you can just click on it and see if it'll play. Yes, there we go. If you you will see that double game box and the way it mounts onto it. So again, very nice reveal there by design, so you can reach with your fingers and easily take the devices in and out. And here I just want to briefly address, I know we get a lot of questions about Savant or Control 4, and Shalom, I don't know if you want to jump in for a brief second here just to explain the concept, you know, why we are still waiting on that particular design.
Sure. So for Gresham, it was pretty easy because they mount onto a two-gang box, and they really just get removed with pressure. With Control 4 and Savant, as well as the Elan, they require a special tool that you slide behind the touchscreen to release the latch to be able to pull it forward. So that's what we've encountered with that. We did make custom ones for Elan. We had an application with a dealer that decided to get creative, as we all do with, we're custom integrators, right? So we come up with solutions. So it's not a product that we want to advertise, because we definitely don't want to have somebody flush in a touchscreen and not be able to remove it without breaking the wall. But simply what they did is that silver plate that you see in the wall over here, they took it and they mounted it upside down, so that when they push their touchscreen in, it just doesn't click in, but it is secured inside. So you could still, we can easily make mounts if you have applications that you need them. From what we've heard from Control 4 and Savant, both of them say that they're redesigning their touchscreen to be magnetic mounted in the back. So when they'll do that, then we'll have solutions commonly available. Otherwise, if you have applications, we can make them. We won't advertise the model numbers, but they will be available.
Okay, I think we lost Shalom here a little bit. Shalom, you broke up, but I hope everyone else can hear me. So we could probably jump to the next slide here. This kind of brings us to our final product models. These are your wireless access point platforms. We do have those in two sizes as well. Right now, they're only in this particular form factor. They accommodate your typical Rackus, Arachnus. However, I know there's a lot of questions about the round form factors as well. So we're definitely working on those. They're on the wish list. But for now, our platform comes with that adapter plate as well. So let's see if we could kind of restart that video so you could take a better look real quick of what it looks like mounted in a ceiling. I mean, with the Internet of Things, Wi-Fi really has gone from commodity to necessity. So we're trying to adapt as well, and we're going to be adding the round form factor pretty soon. I know Shalom is looking at a couple of different models already. So this is your Ruckus, I believe. And again, that's nice reveal, super easy to take your device in and out. And then you have that easy wire access to your wire management because of that adapter plate in the back. And on the next slide, I just wanted to point out that, you know, we here, I guess at this point, I saw a different slide on my end, but we're just reviewing here the features and benefits that we talked about. I'm not going to go, you know, point by point. You guys, I think, are pretty familiar with amounts at this point. I just want to, you know, stress the importance that we are super easy to install. We're local. You know, our warehouse is located here in Carson. We have a logistics company, so the turnaround time usually is 3 to 5 business days, or sometimes if it's something local, it could be definitely available at will call, basically within the same day. Again, up to 4 gangs on many single gangs, I'm sorry, wiring device platforms. It's super easy to paint, touch up, and a vast variety of form factors and styles to accommodate a majority of manufacturers' devices. And again, super easy to install for both retrofits, new construction, and your residential and commercial environments. And next slide here, let's see. I think just bringing it all together again, we already kind of summarized everything, and we just want to point out as well that we are big on custom. Shalom kind of touched up on that a little bit, but let us know what you guys install, and if we don't have it, we'll be more than happy to create a mount for you. It's very easy for Shalom to make the mold. We just need the specs, preferably the CAD files, and also preferably the device itself. And usually it takes about 8 weeks to give you guys 3 samples that you could play with and test out, and let us know if that's something that you're going to be using a lot. And then we can add that to our mass production for you. And this pretty much brings us to the end of our presentation. We do have sales kits available for you guys. If anyone needs some samples, our samples are available at 50 off for your showrooms, for your house installations. And also these beautiful sales kits, they come in a variety where you can choose between 2 or 3 devices. So you can kind of decide what device you would like to take with you to your job sites or your presentations. Also, website is a great resource. I just want to let you guys know that all the videos, installation videos, all our posts from social media are accessible from our websites. Also, you can download all the spec sheets under each product. Under technical documentation, there is a blue ribbon where you can download and share the specs. So basically, at this point, we are ready to open up for questions. We didn't see any questions in the chat window so far, so let us know if you guys have any questions, concerns, or requests. We're more than happy to address them at this point. And if no one is going to post questions at this point, we just want to thank you guys for joining us here today. Thanks again for your time. We hope everyone stays safe and healthy, and we look forward to chatting with you next time. Thank you.